Razab Media on Global TV. Very glad to say welcome to today's episode of this program. And of course, this is saying good morning, Nigeria, good morning, Africa, and of course, the rest of the world. It is still the show here, and you know that we will drive you first and foremost into the news segment. We'll tell you what's happening in some countries out of the 52 countries that make up the continent Africa. And from there, we'll also have a discussion where we'll talk deeply about these issues surrounding the African countries. I'm not here alone this morning. Seated with me so that we can discuss together is Simbiat Hamzat. Simbiat Hamzat, good morning.
Good morning, Oyime. It's beautiful to have you here today, and thankfully we are not matching colors like we did yesterday.
We are almost matching colors, except you have not seen it, but maybe if you pay a little bit of attention, you realize that we are almost matching colors, and that, of course, makes for everything that has to do with us today, and very good enough. I can see you with the vintage, and it still tells about Africa. But just before we get into that conversation fully to discuss deeply about Africa, we would all want to begin in Nigeria today for the African News Update, where we'll tell you that authorities in Nigeria have launched an investigation into some of the world's biggest technology companies over allegations of anti-competitive practices and the unauthorized use of Nigerian media content. The Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission says the probe targets companies including Meta, Google, X, and several generative AI platforms. The investigation follows a petition by leading Nigerian media organizations alleging that copyrighted news content was scrapped to train artificial intelligence models without permission or compensation. And from there now, we will take you to technology, or rather from technology regulation, we will take you now to political development on the continent Africa, where we'll tell you that attention now have shifted to West Africa, where a major realignment is unfolding in Senegal. Senegalese President Bassirou Diomaye Faye is preparing to launch his own political party, signaling a growing split with his former ally and ex-Prime Minister Ousmane Sonko. The move comes ahead of constitutional reforms and local elections, with President Faye opting to submit proposed constitutional amendments to a national referendum. Political observers say the decision could reshape Senegal's political landscape as both leaders seek to consolidate support. Elsewhere now on the continent still, but this time around in West Africa, another country is preparing for a constitutional vote that could significantly alter its system of governance. Guinea-Bissau will hold a referendum on August 30 on proposed constitutional changes that would expand presidential powers and replace the current parliamentary system with a presidential one. If approved, the reforms would allow the president to appoint the prime minister, select cabinet members, and dissolve parliament. The vote comes ahead of elections scheduled for December as the military-led authorities continue efforts to restore civilian rule. We'll be turning now to East Africa, where security has been tightened in Kenya ahead of annual democracy protests. The Kenyan police have banned a planned march marking Saba Saba Day, the anniversary of the 1990 pro-democracy demonstration that helped usher in multi-party politics. Authorities say no formal notification was received for the planned procession and have warned that any gathering would be very unlawful. The anniversary has increasingly become a platform for protest against President William Ruto's government over economic hardship, corruption, and allegations of police brutality. Now let's take away from political demonstrations to more of humanitarian crisis that is affecting thousands across the region. Zimbabwe's President Emmerson Mnangagwa has appealed for more private sector support to help repatriate citizens returning from South Africa following weeks of anti-immigrant protests. The government says hundreds of Zimbabweans remain stranded while awaiting transportation home. Authorities have pledged to support their reintegration while urging businesses, communities, and development partners to contribute to the ongoing repatriation program. Now, away from migration concerns to the situation in Sudan, it has continued to worsen. UNICEF says more than 300 children have been killed or injured in Sudan over the past 6 months, with drone strikes accounting for most of the casualties. The agency says the conflict began, between the Sudanese military and the Rapid Support Forces continues to devastate civilians as millions remain displaced and large parts of the country face severe food insecurity. The United Nations has again called for greater international support and an end to the violence. And now lastly, we'll take you to Southern Africa, where Namibia's presidency is defending the size of its delegation on an official visit to China. The Namibian government says taxpayers are not funding the more than 200 business representatives accompanying President Netumbo Nandi to China. According to the presidency, participating companies cover their own travel costs and are in China to pursue investment, trade, and export opportunities. Officials say the large business delegation reflects growing private sector confidence in expanding commercial ties with the world's second largest economy. And that's why we draw the curtain for African News Update. We'll come back to it to get more deeper clarification on the issues that has been brought to the table this morning. I am Muhima Nete. We'll go on a break, and when we return, we'll have that discussion. Do well to stay tuned and go nowhere. Good morning.